everyone. Been a while since I shot a video about my violin making learnings, and I just thought I would kind of bring everybody up to date on some of the things that I've been up to, some of my findings, some of my learnings. The first thing you might notice is that I'm no longer a storage room dweller. I'm now a spare bedroom dweller. So now I have my little workshop set up in our spare bedroom. A lot more room here, a lot more pleasant, and a lot better ventilation for when I'm varnishing and that sort of thing. You'll see quite a few tools hanging around here. Doesn't take long before you got a couple of grand in tools and supplies when you start into something like this. A lot of luthiers would, the true professional luthiers probably scoff at some of the things that I'm doing here and some of the things that I'm learning, but it's mostly YouTube stuff. I don't have really anywhere else to learn it. So I thought I'd start and just kind of run through the projects that I've done so far. Anybody that's watched one of my first videos, they'll know of what I call the Dragon, and the Dragon is a Stumac. That's a company, a Stumac build, and it would have been made in China, like virtually all of these violins, with the exception of this one over here. They're all made in China now. They hold the lion's share of violin making in the world. And they're not necessarily bad instruments. But so this one here came in pieces. I had to put the neck on. I had to do everything except the body was together. So it became kind of a mess, actually. I put it together, and initially I got the neck angle wrong. So I took that apart, got that correct, and it was okay. You know, I was playing on it. I used just a urethane varnish on it. I didn't use any of the true luthier type of varnishes. So then I discovered that like there are precise measurements on violins that really have to be adhered to, and one of them was 130 millimeters from this point on the nut to the body of the violin, and I had that wrong. So I knocked it apart again. So that's twice it came apart. And while I was doing that, I took the top off, and I graduated the plates top and bottom. And the one I used for that was, or the pattern I used for that was what they call the Guarnerius Lord Wilton 1742, and that's a famous violin in the violin world. I got as close as I could to the thicknesses that violin had. Now, so it's a Strad copy, which is the pattern is all, you know, it's designed like a Stradivarius, but graduated like a Guarnerius. So, anyways, in the end, it's not bad. Graduating the plates actually improved it quite a bit. And I also learned that you can do quite a lot with wood and glue as far as rebuilding and remaking things. The true luthiers do just amazing things with it. So one thing I did learn, or that I found on this violin and this one here, when I took the top plate off to graduate it, the bass bar, I went to take the bass bar off so that I could graduate the whole plate, and I'm not sure what kind of glue they used for it, but it did not want to come off. So on both of these violins, I actually damaged the top plate when I was taking the bass bar off. And again, you know, I repaired it with glue and wood, and it's just fine, but it was just kind of aggravating to learn that. So this one, it plays quite well, and doesn't sound too bad. So the next one I did, and again, people might remember the Bird's Eye Maple. Very pretty violin. Again, I used a urethane varnish on it, which is quite simple to use. This one plays okay. I try to set them all up the same so that I can go from one violin to the other as far as string spacing and string height and that sort of thing. But this one here, I haven't taken the top off yet, or the back. I'm not sure which I'll take off, the belly or the back, to re-graduate it. So it's very, very quiet, very, very subdued. And I'm not sure what it'll be like. Eventually I'll get to this one and take it apart and see what I can do with it. The reason I haven't to date is that I would take this one up to camp with me, and it's a nice quiet violin, so it didn't bother the neighbors when I was in camp, especially when I put a mute on it. So yeah, that one's got some work yet, needs some work. Now this one here, another Chinese one, like all of them, but this one here, I took the top plate off, and again damaged it when I took the bass bar off, had to fix it up. So this was the first violin that I tried to apply spirit varnish. And in the violin world, there's really two kinds of varnish. There's spirit varnish and there's oil varnish. So I decided to use spirit, and it's an alcohol base, thus the spirit part. So it dries really quickly. You don't have much time to work with it at all. So I had some problems. I didn't have the right kind of brush to begin with. So I got a lot of streaking and puddling and that sort of thing. But one of the mistakes I made, I wanted to make it, I used the same stain as this violin here. And so what happened was I stained it without putting a primer coat on. And the stain took, especially on the spruce on the top, showed darker in some spots than others. The back turned out okay. But the biggest problem that caused is that stain for the urethane is a water base, and I'm not sure if that's what they call aniline or what. So whenever I would, like what you do with this with this spirit varnish is you apply a coat, you let it dry, and then you take pumice or rotten stone, and you rub it down to get the high spots off and get it smoothed out, and then you apply another coat, maybe 6-7 coats of varnish. So every time there were a few spots where when I rubbed through the spirit varnish, it would go into where that water-based stain was, and then I couldn't get the damn thing to take varnish after that. It would puddle around the spot where it had gone through. It was really frustrating. I managed to fix it up reasonably well. It looks okay. I guess you don't really notice those spots too much unless you know they're there. But I'm absolutely thrilled with the sound of this violin here. I had bought a Scott Chow 750E, which was about a $1,200 violin. And this one actually plays and sounds every bit as good. So I'm selling that Scott Chow, and this is my daily player here. I'm quite happy with this one. So just for fun, I decided, well, I got to learn how to do this spirit varnishing. And so I bought this violin here, and I also wanted to try a 5-string violin. And so I didn't pay too much money for it. I think it was like $180 or something like that. And as you can see, it's got room for 5 pegs there. So what they do on a 5-string, instead of just the G, D, A, E of a standard violin, they have a lower string, which is a C. And I haven't ever played one, but I understand that they're used in bluegrass music a fair amount. And you can do more things with them. So this one here, what I did was I took it apart, and let me talk about graduating the plates. So when I took it apart, I don't know what kind of glue they used to put the top on, but it was just a Bearcat to try and get off. And I actually ended up with a small crack right here, which was easy enough to repair. But it was some sort of a petroleum-based glue, and it was no fun to work with. But I did manage to get it apart and graduate the plates, put it back together. The edges here, when I took it apart, actually splintered a fair amount, but again, this is a cheap experimental type violin anyways. So I managed, I bought a better brush, and they use an ox hair or sable. Different people prefer different things, but it turned out I got a really nice finish on it, but I think I was putting too thick a coats on, and I was getting some streaking. And so, you know, if you look close, you'll see, well, maybe you don't even have to look close at it, but you'll see some streaking there, and that's again part of my learning process. But I'm really happy with the finish I got on it. The finish is good. So this one here, the 5-string, I did have some problems with this one as well, with it not taking varnish. There was one spot right here, and there was one spot on the bout, and one spot here to a certain extent that they didn't want to seem to take varnish. And so did some research, did some Googling on it, and I think what might have happened is this violin was strung up and played when it was in the white. So one possibility is that there was some rosin residue in a couple of spots, because I guess rosin will just not take varnish. So that's one possibility, and I forget what the other one was actually. But so this one here, I'm going to let the varnish cure. Got to go back to work on Tuesday, so I'm going to let the varnish cure for a couple of weeks, and then we'll put it together, string it up, and see how it plays. So last week, so I've been wheeling and dealing a bit in violins, just in the in the novice end, you know, the cheaper violins, a couple $100, and mostly to learn more about repairing and luthiery. And so last week there was a fellow down at Moose Jaw that had 5 violins and cases and bows and everything for sale. So I went down and bought those from him, and he said, when I picked it up, he said there's supposed to be a violin in here, or sorry, a bow. He was selling them for an uncle or something like that. There's supposed to be a bow in there that's worth like $1,000 or something. He said, is that possible? I said, well, yeah, it could be. Bows can sell for a stupid amount of money. So sure enough, when I was going through the cases, there was an appraisal from 1981 for a Lothar Hermann, a German bow maker. And in 1981, it was appraised at $600. So it needed restringing and rehairing, I should say, and the stick was had a little bit of a bow to it. So I took it to a good bow maker here in town, and for $150, she rehaired it and straightened out the stick. And I just started playing on it. I played on it just a little bit, and man, oh man, do I love it. I can see why people pay big amounts of money for bows. And this isn't even this is, you know, maybe it's worth $1,000, I'm not sure. It's a round stick, whereas I see most of his bows were octagonal, and I'm thinking it's Pernambuco, but the bow maker in town here said it could be Brazil wood. Anyways, I like it. It's a really nice bow. So one of the violins that I picked up from this guy, when I was going through them, this is really strange. It had something inside of it. So I'm shaking and wondering what's in there. I get my flashlight and I'm looking, and what is that? I don't know. So I got my tweezers and started pulling, and I had to actually break it to get it out through the F-hole, and it looks to me like it's rattlesnake skin. And I'm wondering, how in the hell did rattlesnake skin get inside a violin? Especially when it had to have been either a live snake went in there, or the skin was forced in there. I don't know. I guess it'll forever remain a mystery. But so a violin such as this is one of the 5 that I got from the fellow. I think it kind of looks like it was his main player. Needs sound post work. The bridge looks pretty good. Needs new strings, and pegs look good. There's some small cracks here by the F holes that I'll either fix from the top, get a tool, a clamp so that I can reach in and put a patch in underneath, or I might actually take the back off of it and just check the graduations and check that where the sound post is. Apparently putting sound post patches on is quite the skill, but again, I don't have much invested, so it might be kind of fun. So anyways, that's what I do in my for my entertainment. I've got about, I don't know, 5 or 6 violins now that I'm working on, and eventually I'll sell them, or I'm kind of looking for that magical $1 million violin that I can pick up at a garage sale. Anyways, this video might find a lot of people might find it pretty boring, but for anybody that's attempting one of these kits, or just some repair or spirit varnishing, I'm learning a bunch. I'm not sure where I'll go next. I may get another cheaper violin, something like this, and just see if I can do a bang up job. Eventually, who knows where it goes from there. Anyways, thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you again.